So we'll just get rolling. Obviously, this is this is what we're 33 days out now, and to be honest with you, it is really, really critical. 33 days for a lot of things, but more so for anything. Just as you shape the things together each and every year, it's a slight bit different. Just how leadership goes and how guys mesh together. And I'll be honest with you, the last 3 or 4 years in college football, you have a lot more opportunities to prepare in the summer, just with some of the rule changes allowing you to have two hours, your ability to even do some walkthroughs at the end after spring and in the summer. I think programs are much more prepared going into fall camp. And in some ways that, in my mind, changes your fall camp a little bit. Kind of like the addition of what the league has gone to, and just being smart about where you're headed and what the season looks like. So we are a lot further along. Obviously, year 2, the more you've been in a program, the consistency that you can have both offensively and defensively, even knowing what to expect, you feel a lot different going into fall camp. But it's still the most critical 33 days, I think, that we have all year. And so it's an exciting time. It's a great time to get away a little bit. To be away this year for 13 or 14 days just gives us some more opportunities to spend together, some less distractions when you're away, when you got to kind of live in a dorm together and things like that. I think it can vote really well for us if used the right way, right? I mean, anything that can be really good for you, if you don't use them the right ways, it could go the other direction. So it's critical and it's important for us to get this thing off on the right foot, get started, get rolling. We're a lot further along, but the 33 days is going to be really, really important for us.
Question? Yeah, Jessica. Wait,
It's not a giant room. I'm sure we can hear you, but
it's for the recording.
You mentioned you have a better sense of this team going into this year, but what would you say are your biggest questions on the cusp of fall camp coming out of this?
Well, it's always how things come together, right? I mean, what the evolution looks like, both offensively and defensively, but really as the group kind of rolls together. It's unique, and you sit up in front of a group of guys and you talk with them, and each and every year you can just get a different sense of where that team is, what confidence levels, and how they all mesh together. So I don't know that there's one thing that you can pinpoint to say it's all going to fall on the shoulders of the offensive line. I mean, there's some specific battles, there's some specific things that I think we really got to come together with in figuring out what and who we really are. How you're going to look interiorly defensive line-wise, what that is going to look like. How many guys do you have? Do you feel comfortable playing with 6 guys in there? How does that offensive line continue to mesh together? And then what happens to the quarterback position as those guys, continue to battle, and can they both, how do they step up, and how do guys follow? So to say there's one specific thing, there's not. If anything, being at Media Day, I'm sure you would say that you heard the word leadership. And so for me, as much as anything, is how does that really look, and how does that come together? You don't always know. You get a sense, but what are you prepared for? I think is going to be really critical.
Jake, I'll go to Jim in the front.
This is probably a question you can answer better on August 29th instead of July 29th, but I think you would agree that this offense needs to make a jump this year.
So does the defense.
Yeah.
We were very average in all categories. I mean, we just did our little, kind of one-day retreat, and you do kind of look at the statistics, and there's not a category that you could say both offense, the defense, special teams, they weren't very average, and that's not the expectation. But go ahead and finish your question. I'm going to cut you off there.
I guess as far as the offense goes, do you get the sense that it can make a jump?
No, I do. In how and in what ways, I think that we got to see. Right? We always know, and we've said it from the time we walked in, it's, regardless of what you envision yourself as, there's got to be a balance to it. And I'll tell you the truth, and I said it, Will Pauling had a great year. He had 50-some or 80-some catches, or 78 to 80 catches, whatever it was. To be honest with you, if he has that again this year, I think we're in trouble. And it's not that I don't think Will can have 80 catches. If we are focused on that spot, and we can't spread it around, and we can't have better balance even in that, we don't give Will a better chance to have 70, 65 catches with a greater amount of yards, after catch, the highest end is not just the catches, but what are the yards. And so I think with that being said, the ability for our offense to have more balance, and I don't just mean run-pass balance. I mean the ability to spread the ball around, to develop some more consistency that was really difficult for us last year.
As you reflect on your first year, what's something you want to do differently this year?
There's a lot of things, but it's still trying to figure out, trying to have a better sense of who you are and how you're going to handle adversity. And I can't tell you that there's one way of doing that, that you try to manufacture all those things, and there's no adversity like Saturdays of game day or Friday nights of game day, which obviously we'll open the season with. But you're trying to find ways, you're trying to read, you're trying to see within your own program and team that how these guys are going to handle those things, how are they going to mesh together. And for me in particular, the thing I got to do a better job of is leading, and it's leading from the front, and it's leading from a coaching standpoint, and making sure that we're all going in the right direction and headed in the same way, and we can all handle as coaches the adversity that we're going to hit to be obviously an example to our guys. So that's something that's a little bit off the path of just saying, hey, if we can run the ball better, we'll be better offensively, and if we can stop the run better, we'll be better defensively, and in return, we'll be a better team. So if that is true, and that would be the focus of, are we tough enough to be able to handle those things physically? We got to find out too.
Steve.
Just going back to the offense, what gives you the confidence that it can take that jump this year? What makes you think that?
I think the ability for some of the returning pieces, right? I mean, it starts up front, and obviously with those two cornerstones that really, to be honest with you, both edges with Jack and Riley, both have made incredible strides, right? I mean, Jack was up and down last year, and he had an incredible expectation for himself, just like we had for him. And he at times, early on, didn't play up to the potential that he believed he had, and I think it hurt him mentally in some ways. But to see how those two guys have grown just in the last 8 months, it makes me feel really good about where we're starting. To see where the quarterbacks are compared to last year. And I mean that in a competitive standpoint, right? To see how competitive the quarterbacks have been throughout the entire spring and even the summer has made both of those guys better, which in return makes all of us better, because the natural competitive spirit of seeing those guys battle, and in particular the way that they've battled, right? A really healthy competition. I mean, those two guys do a great job of being an example of how, rolling with the ones and the twos, and not seeing a guy react differently just because he's with the twos is an incredible example to that entire offense, and really to the entire team. So I would say offensively, those are the two spots that make me feel the best, because of where we are with those and where we've grown even from last year.